The Egyptian cross mystery. The wind came down from the hills like a whisper that had forgotten its words. It was on such a night that Ellery Queen first heard of the crosses. Not ordinary crosses, not symbols of faith or comfort. These were twisted things, wooden beams lashed together at unnatural angles, and on each, a body. The telephone rang past midnight in the study of Inspector Richard Queen. A voice trembled. "There's a man, nailed to something in the woods." Hours later, under lantern light, Ellery stood before it. The smell came first. Then the shape emerged from the shadows, a grotesque cross. At its center, a headless corpse, no footprints, no weapon, no head. Ellery said nothing for a long time. His gloved fingers traced the angles. When he finally spoke, it was not horror in his voice, but curiosity. "Who," he murmured, "would choose this as their signature?" The second cross appeared miles away. Another body, another missing head, and again the strange construction, identical in its impossible angles. But this time, Ellery noticed something new, a pattern. The beams weren't random, they formed a deliberate design, something ancient. "Not a cross," Ellery said softly. "A message." Inspector Queen frowned. "What kind of message cuts off heads?" Inspector gaze drifted into the darkness. "The kind," he replied, "that wants to erase identity and leave only meaning." As the killings continued, fear spread throughout the countryside. Churches filled. Whispers turned to superstition. Some said it was a cult. Others said it was madness. Ellery said nothing. He worked instead, mapping angles, reconstructing the crosses, studying ancient symbols, poring over texts older than memory. Each detail, each grotesque staging, a clue. But a clue to what? One night, alone with his notes, Ellery froze. He began to rearrange the drawings, rotating them, overlaid them, and there it was. Not crosses, letters. A hidden sequence spelled not in ink, but in death. The absence of the victims' heads was not brutality, it was necessity. The killer did not want the victims recognized. Identity would ruin the message. Ellery realized, with a chill that crept deeper than fear, the murders weren't isolated crimes. They were components, pieces of a larger design, a design not yet complete. The last cross was found at dawn. This time, the head was still there, and when Ellery saw the face, something inside him broke, because he knew it, knew what it meant, knew what it completed. The pattern, the letters, the angles, it all converged into a single terrible truth. The killer had not been choosing victims at random. He had been spelling a name. Ellery gathered the suspects. As always, he offered the challenge. "You now possess every fact I possess. The solution lies before you." Silence filled the room. No one spoke, because no one could see it, except Ellery. He stepped forward, his voice steady. The crosses were not symbols of death, but of transformation. Each angle precise. Each victim chosen not for who they were, but for what they represented. The case was closed, the killer taken, the pattern explained, and yet, long after the newspapers moved on, long after the crosses were dismantled, Ellery would sometimes wake in the night, not from the memory of the bodies, not from the blood, but from the pattern, because it lingered, like a riddle that had answered itself too perfectly. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a question remained. What if the pattern had not ended? What if it had only paused?